to Acumen Stadium here at the campus of St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario. On behalf of We Digital Productions, my name is Badia Kawas, and I'd like to welcome you to the Ontario Football Conference championship game between the two-time defending champion London Beefeaters and the top seed and undefeated St. Clair Saints. We have a beautiful evening here in Windsor. The field conditions, as you can see, are absolutely perfect. Not too much wind to factor in, and no rain in the forecast on an absolutely beautiful fall evening. We have a heavyweight tilt number 3. The trilogy is here today. And I would like to inform our viewers, though, you have me and me only today. We Productions are extremely busy right now. St. Clair baseball is going on right now, so I'm going to try my best to give you every insight I can, doing the play-by-play and a little color commentary as we see the teams lining up for the opening kickoff. The London Beefeaters won the opening coin toss and deferred, and the Saints have elected to receive. And for the first quarter, if there is a wind in an advantage, the Saints will have the wind in their favor for the opening quarter, as the referees have blown in the opening whistle and we're ready for kickoff. And it's number 38 for the visitors, and that's A.J. Williamson. Ball is being kicked deep, and it's hanging up in the wind, and it is now fielded, and it looks like it's up the sideline, and that was... It looked like Dante Lewis, yes indeed, kicked a little shorter, but the wind may have factored in, and now the Saints are going to scrimmage at around the 34-yard line. The Saints are led by all-star quarterback, and that is number 3, Andrew Brush. They are going to come out likely in a slot set, and they have a talented slew of players, and we'll get to them as we get through our broadcast. But again, this is a heavyweight tilt, the third time in the coming. Shotgun snap, 2-by-2. Quarterback run, he works off the left side, makes one guy miss, cuts back across the grain, and he looks like he crosses to the 36-yard line, and that's going to be a 2-yard gain. They just tried to do a little lead power with the quarterback. Andrew Brush is a more than capable runner, a big body there, but you do see good gap penetration and control from the Beefeaters, limiting that to about a 2.5-yard 3 gain. It's going to bring up 2nd down and 7. And once again, Andrew Brush brings out his crew. He has a fullback offset to his left, the tailback deep in the pistol, 2-by-2. They'll counter run, and you have some open grass here on the outside, and that's number 23 for St. Clair, and that is going to be Jonathan Cartier, who worked his way up that right hash, worked his way to the sideline. You'll see on the replay, really good push from the offensive line, collapsing that right side or the left side of the defense and easily picking up the first down as they approach midfield, and now it's 1st and 10 from the 48-yard line. And speaking with Coach LaChance, I know he wants to be able to have a balanced attack. Run, play action, throw, but they want to have good rhythm and balance. Hard count, inside run again to Chartier, and a big seam up inside, and he picks up chunk yardage as he breaks into the Beefeaters territory, and he is now set up at the 44-yard line going in. Great surge up front by the offensive lineman, creating a seam. They climbed to the 2nd level, and they picked up that linebacker, and then he was untouched until he got into the secondary. Good start. 2 first downs now for the home team, and this is exactly what the entire coaching staff was looking for. The big bodies up front, trying to establish some ground game, trying to lean their size, because as you see in our camera graphic, that is some heavy mass there for the Saints. Again, inside run, Chartier finds a little cutback seam, and he picks up, it looks like already about 5 yards before he got into contact. A good first down run, and you'll see Andrew Brush is going to work his way to Coach LaChance and get this next play call. Here's the replay. Again, off tackle lead. He just goes to the left. Once he sees a little seam, he cuts it right back in, and he crams it in the hole. Good run, good surge, and he picks up now a 5-yard gain, making it 2nd and manageable. Again, balance set with the with the fullback offset to the quarterback's right. Shotgun snap, inside run with a little counter action, and you see again, he knifes through, and once he sees that first hole, he presses it, and he cuts it back, and that's Chartier again with a nice run. Again, resetting the chains. You'll see he goes left, and then once he sees that little cutback, he sticks his foot in the ground. He easily picks up the first down. Excuse me, I stand corrected. It is 3rd and inches, so you'll see them wedge underneath center here with big Andrew Brush, and they get that huge push forward from their offensive line. And there is a flag on the play. It looked like the ball was out, but it did look like we had an offsides on the visitors. But we have to get the official call, but there was a fumble. There was live there, so we're going to have to see what it is. Here's a chance to introduce our referees. That is our head referee in the white. That is Chris Patton, and it is indeed offside against London. So regardless of that play, you're going to get a first down. But that's a little cause for concern if you hear Coach LaChance. You don't want to see that ball on the carpet because Andrew Brush had the first down on his initial surge, but they were trying to strip it, and that's what's going to keep either one of these teams from actually winning this game. The team that wins that turnover battle will win. You lose that turnover battle, there's a good chance you're going to lose because these are two very good football teams. But by penalty, they do get another first down here, and now they're set up at the 29-yard line going in. Tailback flares, shotgun snap, inside run this time to the fullback who knifes forward, crosses across the 25-yard line to the 23-yard line. Looks like a solid 5 to 6 yard gain. It's going to bring up again a second and more than manageable. You'll see here on the replay, good push from the offensive line. He's not touched until he gets at least 4 yards deep, and that is the fullback carrying the ball, and that's number 32, Jarrell Pappin. As we approach the 10-minute mark in this opening quarter, 2nd down and 5 at the 24-yard line. Leaning on the run, inside run again. The offensive line is pushing forward, and it looks like he has just got to the 20-yard line, which is probably going to be about a half yard short. And I would suspect you will see a just go for it. And here's the replay here. Lead, run, off tackle. And they push forward, and you'll see the pile moving forward, and that's good job by the Saints pushing that initial pile, and it is indeed 3rd down and 1, and you see the heavy bodies piling in right now, and it looks like Brush is just going to push forward under center, and there it is. There's the quarterback sneak, and boy, are they carrying him forward for about 6 yards, and they drive him backwards, but we do have a flag on the play, so now I'm not sure what the call is, but there was one from the side and one from the back. The side is likely offside, but the back judge, I'm just wondering if they're calling if they were set. We'll wait for the call, and I'll give you the whole referees right now. You have the referee is Chris Patton in the white hat. The umpire is Mike Rissy. Line judge is Nick Hayhow. The back judge is Byron Griffin. The down judge is Corey Cousins. The field judge is Brent Webster, and the side judge is Bruce Carter. And we do have another offside, as we do have a London player being attended to right now. It looks like they picked up about 5 yards either way, so they are going to now move this forward. So let's get the official call.
Offside, defense, unnecessary roughness, block below the knees, also against the defense.
Okay, so that's a big penalty. So not only was there an offside, there was an illegal chop block. You cannot block below the knees at any level in amateur football right here, and that indeed marches the ball the full length all the way to the 1 yard line, and you'll see them wedge forward likely once again. And there's the push forward, and there's the signal for the opening touchdown as the Saints march from their own 34-yard line in 5 minutes and change and put 6 points up on the board with the ensuing kickoff. Great opening drive leaning on the big bodies. Very difficult to run the ball that effectively in a first quarter when teams are fresh, and they did that in here. There's just the wedge. All you see is green shirts going forward and red shirts going backwards. That is tremendous surge, and Andrew Brush walked in, and now we have the mechanics of the extra point here, and kicking for the home team is number 35, and he does indeed convert that, and that's Carl Fabre. And now the lead is 7-0, and what a perfect setup if you're a Saints fan. They get the ball, they march it methodically, convert third down a couple times. They get 4 or 5 first downs, and they run the ball with effectiveness all the way down the field. And here's the head-to-head. And you'll see that, yes, the Saints did indeed win both of them. The bottom line, though, is you can throw all of these things out, considering these two teams have history. These games mean nothing. It's the trilogy now. London has defeated the Saints 2 years in a row, last year on this very field in heartbreaking fashion, and I know a number of the returning Saints remember that vividly, and I'm sure they shared that regret, if you will, with their teammates, and they looked excited and energized right off the hop. And again, you have Fabre who's going to do the kickoff here as it's blown into play. A booming kick, driving deep over the return man's head. He catches it about 2 yards deep into his own end zone. He's working from his right to left, and then he is tackled at approximately the 15-yard line. But there is a flag on the play, and now I question whether or not that was a head tackle, because it did look like he was a little high. It was a very, very good physical hit, and that was number 38, it looked like, who came off the sideline. But if that was, that's the kicker once again. But either way, we'll see what this penalty is. And that is indeed the case. It's unnecessary roughness, so likely a high head tackle, and that's going to move it up 15 yards and get them just over the 30-yard line, but we do have an injured player.
Green, 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Great enthusiasm. Those are some of the penalties I know you don't want to see, but that's an enthusiastic type penalty. It's not one where the coaches are going to say, okay, don't hustle. You'll see here on the replay, the kick goes down, and it was a great job of handling this kick, because you'll see the return man catches it over his shoulder, and that's number 22, Jordan Wright. And as he comes through, it is indeed, in this case, it's number 38 who comes in, and it's A.J. Williamson who gets wrapped around the head area. That replay showed it wasn't so much in the helmet but around the neck, but they do indeed are going to look for player safety, and that was indeed the injured player there on that return. As we see London come out for the first time, led by their quarterback, number 12, Anthony Pinto. Behind him is Taz Bell, who I would sense they're going to have a lot of, but you have some immediate pressure there after the play fake to Taz Bell, and you get a sack for a loss of about 7 yards, and that looks like it was number 31, Nicholas Malman, who made the play. So they try to run a little inside read option here. Tazzy Bell gets a fake, but the quarterback pulls it, but guess what? Secondary containment came. Good job by the Saints forcing that back, and it is indeed a 7-yard loss, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 17 from their own 24-yard line. The Beefeaters line up with 4 eligible receivers to the quarterback's right. They ISO 1 on the back with the Taz Bell as the lone running back. Sprint out to the right. Looks like they're trying to do a little flare-out pass, which they do indeed complete up that sideline, and it looks like he is close to the first down. And we'll see where that exact spot is, and they are indeed indicating that it is indeed a first down. And that was a nice throw and catch, and you'll see here on the replay, they flood the zone. He attacks the line of scrimmage. They lose a little bit of containment, and the receiver, number 15, does a nice job of working his way, Nigel Morris, and he knifes forward for the first down. Good recovery from that loss on first down. This time they go 3-by-2 to the field side, which is the quarterback's left. Inside run, they do give it to Taz Bell. In this case scenario, he knifes forward for what looks like about a 5, maybe a 6-yard gain. And actually from this spot here, it's a little higher, and that's not Taz Bell. That's number 3, L.J. Dyer, who got that on that inside run play. So he finds the little seam, approaches the 50-yard line as he gets on the landmark, and that looks like it's going to bring up a 2nd down and short. We have a penalty flag.
Offside, St. Clair. Penalty's declined. Second
so that
down.
Penalty is going to be declined rather than taking 1st and 5. They're going to take 2nd down and what looks like about 1.5 yards. So my guess is that just tells me it's 3 down territory for the visitors, because they know they're going to go for it in this scenario. 2-by-2 with an offset wing. Motion towards the line of scrimmage. Quarterback keeps it and pulls it and works around his outside, and he finds that seam, and he works his way up that right hash to the, looks like the Saints 51-yard line. And they do pick up the first down. Heavy inside run presence, and they bought that fake there. And you'll see the quarterback here, after he puts it in the belly of the running back, pulls it because he realized the end man on the line of scrimmage came down, lost containment, and you'll see the quarterback, Pinto, work his way up that sideline and get into the Saints territory. And now it's 1st and 10 at the 51-yard line going in. One back in the backfield. Inside run. This time they give it to him, and he's bottled up, met at the line of scrimmage, and it looks like it is a tackle for no gain whatsoever, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10. And you're a little curious right now. Taz Bell is not getting the carries right now. That is L.J. Dwyer, and he was met right away in the backfield. That's a good job by the defense sitting in. That's number 8, Nick Brankovic, the all-star linebacker who made first contact with him, and limited that to a marginal half-yard gain, if that at all. 2nd down and long for the Beefeaters as they line up 4 wide receivers to the quarterback's left. Sets his feet, quarterback draw, inside run, and he works his way right up the middle of the field, and it looks like he got pretty close, but his knee sort of fell and he stumbled, so he's going to be just short. And yes, indeed. So they empty out the backfield. They let the rush come wide. He sets his feet, and that's a designed quarterback draw, as you see the running back lead up the field there. And his knee did touch down a half-yard short, and that is indeed the case. So you're looking at 3rd down and what amounts to about the length of a football from where the chains are from my vantage point here. So the Saints bring in some beef inside, and it looks like they're going to quarterback sneak and wedge forward, and it does indeed look like they've pushed forward across the 40-yard line, which will give them the yards to gain, and a 1st down. So good response so far from London. They now have picked up 2 or 3 first downs here on this wedge forward. Good surge from their offensive line. Quarterback finds a little seam and gets across the 40-yard line pretty comfortably, and now it's going to be this bully ball, if you will. Both teams seem to want to run right at each other, and we're going to see who are the better bullies, if you will. London's responding pretty nicely to that opening drive, as we are now 5.5 minutes left in this opening quarter of the Ontario Football Conference Final. Fake run, throw outside. That ball drifted backwards, and that looks like it's a lateral, and they are spotting it accordingly. It was a backwards pass, so it's going to be 2nd down and what looks like to be about a 7-yard loss. You'll see the ball throw, and it actually goes behind the yardsticks, and that is indeed the case. The quarterback's feet were in front of the 45, and that ball drifted back behind the 45-yard line and then sailed out of bounds. So that is indeed the right call by the officials. And now we have a 2nd down and 18 from the 48-yard line going in. Wing slightly offset to the left of the quarterback. Running back leaves early, sets his feet. He's going right to that inside hook, and miscommunication. The receiver curled that all the way in, looking like he was going to run a dig. Quarterback thought he was maybe running a stop at the numbers. Ball lands harmlessly incomplete, and now London is going to have to punt and into the wind right now, which means you're likely going to potentially see some semblance of a return, because I don't think he can drive it. But however, I will say this London kicker is fantastic. A.J. Williamson, and he gets it, and it bounces forward, and it's picked up cleanly by number 14 for the Saints, and that is Tristan Rutherford. All things considered, not a bad opening drive. They were pinned in their own end. They got a penalty, moved it down, and they marched it across midfield, and now they give the Saints a long field. Here's the head-to-head from a passing perspective. You'll see that the Saints obviously almost have a 3-to-1 advantage in the yards, and they also have a 5-to-1 advantage in the touchdowns through the air. Andrew Brush has evolved into the all-star quarterback. We haven't seen him yet have to necessarily throw, but you can expect that as we count down 4:38 and counting in this opening quarter of the Ontario Football Conference Final. 2-by-2 for Brush. Inside run to Chartier, flag on the play as he marches forward, and looks like he picks up about 9 yards. Flag came out immediately again, so I suspect this is an alignment thing. Now it's just depending on who that offsides is on.
Offside. St. Clair number 10. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Now that's going to negate a really long run and pin them back 1st and 15 here. And it must have been a slot receiver, but a great inside run here. A good surge by the offensive line. You hate to see that, especially if it was indeed a receiver who was offside. Really not influencing the play whatsoever, and they go offsides, and now instead of it being 2nd down and 1, you're 1st and 15, and you're inside your own 20. For the first time, we now see some imbalance to the offensive set as they sprint out 4 receivers to the wide side of the field to the right of Andrew Brush. And now they run weak side with Chartier, and he works his way up that left hash, and he's met pretty immediately and only picks up about 3 yards on the play, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and a solid 11. And you'll see here, he works his way, but a linebacker was there to meet him. I'm not even sure if that was a linebacker. Number 10 might have been the halfback who squatted down into play, and that looks like that is Wolf Sim who came in to make initial contact on him as it brings up a 2nd and long for the Saints. 4 receivers to Andrew Brush's right. 1 running back. They sprint out a receiver out. Running back leaks. They're going to throw a quick little little hitch to Dante Lewis. But the ball sails on Andrew Brush over the head of Dante Lewis, and that's going to bring up a obvious punting situation here. And in this case scenario, I could just tell it looked like it came out of the quarterback's hands just a little squirrely. When you are trying to get that ball out quick, sometimes you might not have the seam, but you still have to snap that ball down and through. And in that case, he did not get all the way through on the throw, maybe rushed it a fraction. As it brings out the punter, number 35, Connor Rafferty. Gets a pretty good kick. Now it's bouncing at the 45-yard line, turns over at the 40, picked up by the return man as he works up that right hash, and he finds his way across the 50, approaching midfield, but we do have a flag on the play. Very rarely do we not have a flag on a special teams, it seems like, in today's game of football. Players are so fast and big, there's likely a push from the rear at some point, but we'll wait for the official call. So now they're just trying to get clarification on where it is.
No flag? There's no flag on the play. Results in a 1st down.
Okay, there is no flag on the play, so that means the return stands, and you'll see here a pretty good kick, and usually it doesn't take a favorable bounce where the returnman can actually handle it pretty quickly, but on that 2nd bounce, number 5 for the visitors picks it up and picks up about 12 yards, and that's Nick McKenzie, who then gets that ball to the 54-yard line, and that's where they'll start their 2nd offensive possession as we have 3 minutes left in this opening quarter. 3 receivers to the right. Running back again is number 3 for the visitors as he works up that right sideline and picks up a solid 6 yards on just an outside zone play, and that is L.J. Dwyer. I'm going to have to try to ask where indeed is Taz Bell. I'm a little puzzled as to why he might not be there, but they set the edge with a little crack back from the wide receiver who comes down, waggles down as they set the ball at the 50-yard line of the Saints for a 2nd down and 4. 3-by-2 to the quarterback's left. Pinto fakes inside, gives inside, and he picks up maybe a yard as that stout defensive front holds that to minimal gain. And now it's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 2.5. Decision time now for the coach, and it looks like the decision has already been made. The punt unit is coming out. Not a bad call this early in the game here, as you see the defense now gets in their run fits and does not give up more than that 1 yard. And this is probably, at least in my assessment, the right decision, punt. Make them go the length of the field here. Do not give them the opportunity to have a short field by going for it unnecessarily. It's early in the game here. High snap. gets a pretty good booming kick off all the way to the corner, and this ball's going to land out of bounds, and it's probably going to be marked right around the 7-yard line. And that is indeed the case. He's walking up to the 9-yard line. What a nice kick. They punted it right to the corner, no return. Obviously, you don't want to punt the ball to Dante Lewis, who is the return specialist. Here's our head-to-head in the rushing game. The Saints have been fantastic all year long, but not the disparity you saw. London this time is only about 400 yards behind. So both teams can effectively run the ball, which has already been on display here. The disparity was in the passing game, so we'll see if Coach LaChance is going to try to involve some of his all-star receivers, including Jared Hayes-Williams. 2-by-2, quarterback run, works up the left, crosses the 15-yard line, pushing the pile forward, and it looks like he took the whole pile right across to the 20-yard line, and what amounts to be a first down. That is just a straight quarterback power. They're going to lead block with both running backs here off the left, and you'll see there was a seam. After first contact, you have a big quarterback, and he puts two hands on the ball, and as the line pushes forward, they get across that 20-yard line to buy themselves a little bit of field position, and we do have an injured player for the visitors, as you see Coach LaChance speaking to his quarterback as the player is being tended to, and that's number 7 for the visitors, and that is Ben Regier. Looks like they're looking at a lower leg, maybe an ankle. And we hope for a speedy return for him. And while we have a moment, though, want to send out best wishes to Rick Kranker. He's just not doing all that well right now. He's a long-time supporter going back to Fratman football, Saints football, hockey with the Lancers in this local community. People who hear the name know how devoted he has been. Best wishes for a speedy recovery, Crank. I miss seeing you on the sideline pregame. Hopefully everything works out for you. All the best, my friend. As we return to play, final minute of the opening quarter. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line. 2-by-2 set. Inside handoff once again, and a nice hole knifing through is Chartier, who crosses the 25-yard line, gets to the 27-yard line. A big chunk yardage right now, which will likely serve them well if you get late in the game when you need those grind-out first downs. But this is a good run here, good push by the offensive line. He's not getting touch. He's getting momentum, which means he's going to be able to run through that first tackle, as evidenced in our replay. Brings up a 2nd down and 3. Hard count, inside handoff, a little late turning there, but Chartier does indeed get it, works up that left sideline and pushes his way across the 30-yard line to the 33-yard line. And that there is another first down, and it's going to likely scrimmage at the 34-yard line. Here's the replay. Almost a missed handoff, but a good insert by the offensive line as they run a power play to the left. And Chartier does indeed get that ball across, and this is going to be the last untimed down of this quarter, barring any kind of penalty. You will see the Saints have a 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line with a dead clock as it stands. 2-by-2, fullback offset left. Quarterback power once again. Andrew Brush finds a little seam up the left, crosses the 35-yard line, gets it close to the 38-yard line, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and about 6 as we end the first quarter. 7-0 for the Saints as we get into quarter 2 here in Ontario Football Conference Championship play, presented to you by We Digital Productions.
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back. Second quarter just about underway with the whistle. Oh, they're going to reset. Here we go. Second down and 6. Inside counter run. Chartier finds a seam. Looks like he's going to have just short of the first down as he gets across the 40 to the 41-yard line, and that's going to probably make it a third down and about 2. Decision time for Coach LaChance, as you see here. Oh, this was the last play of the first quarter, as you saw the quarterback power, and he worked his way for about 4 yards. And no decision here. It looks like Coach LaChance is leaving his offense on the field as Andrew Brush gets the call. Play clock is now wound in. Third down and 3. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they try a hard count here to draw them or get them to jump. Here we have them under center in a power set. 5 seconds left on the clock. And we get a timeout from the Saints bench, and they maybe, if they were going to try to draw them offside, I would like to see them get to the line of scrimmage with like 15 seconds left in the play clock. They only got there with 6, which means you really can't draw them to a hard count. So it does look like the punt unit is indeed getting together here as Coach LaChance brings Brush next to him. Here's our receiving. Again, this is reflected also in the passing game. The Beefeaters do not necessarily have a strong passing game. It's pseudo-effective, but you'll see here that it's 3-1 virtually across the board in terms of the favor to the Saints. Now it's the first kick into the wind for Connor Rafferty. Beefeaters have almost everyone across the line. Maybe they're setting up some sort of fake situation here. Excuse me, a block situation. It's in, good snap. Kick is indeed blocked. And that there is something you want to see if you're trying to win a championship. A game play from a special teamer. In this case, they do get some pressure inside there. They get to the kicker, they block the kick, and now they're set up at the 33-yard line. And we'll see here on the replay, ball comes in, and it looks like it was number 25 who got his hands up and in the way, and that is Gammy Cazzetti, who makes the block, and now you have the quarterback, Pinto, set up at the 33-yard line going in with the wind. He keeps it off the left edge after the inside run play fake, and he works his way up that left edge and crosses the 30 to the what looks like about the 24-yard line, and it looks like it's going to be a first down as Pinto works his way on that quarterback read option, and they set that hard edge. They got to do a better job of keeping that containment, and now he's set up with a first down and 10 from the 23-yard line going in. As it stands, it's 7-0 for the Saints. But the Beefeaters are now threatening. And you see Pinto, one back behind him, 3-by-2 to his right. Inside run this time again. They find the seam and they get working forward, and that's number 3 this time who works his way all the way to the end zone, and that's L.J. Dwyer, who drives his way all the way on an inside zone running play, knifing through the defense for the score, making it 7-6 with the ensuing kick. And here's the replay, just a lead play. He was not touched for a 15-16 yards, and then he finally gets touched at the 5, but he has his momentum going forward and carries a tackler into the end zone as the all-important extra point comes up to tie the game. Kick is up. Kick is good, and we have a tie game in the Ontario Football Conference Championship game. The Teddy Morris Trophy on the line. The 2-time reigning champ, London Beefeaters, here in Windsor, Ontario at Acumen Stadium. Just tied up the game. The Saints coming into this game undefeated, having already beaten London twice. We know this script. This is what it was last year. Undefeated. They beat them twice, but that championship pedigree matters, and it's showing right now. They came here a few weeks ago, and London got hit and they were hit pretty hard. And right now, they responded nicely to that initial opening drive for the Saints, which had stalled, and a special teams gaffe has now cost them a score. And we have a problem here. Chris Patton is talking to Coach LaChance, and Coach LaChance is just looking a little sideways, wondering what's going on here. He was given something. And we're just wondering what's going on as the referees are walking up the sideline. There may be an incident where there may be some people disturbing the play on the far sideline. So the referees are just calling for the security to present themselves and make sure that the London bench isn't being disturbed by any kind of fans or anyone throwing things from the opposite side, the parking lot side. As we pan across to the visitor bench, you can see there's people on the far side. So we're going to hopefully get that rectified and get on to play, because ultimately that's what we want. We want to play football. We don't want to be bothered by outside influences. And indeed, it looks like it's coming from the parking lot side. So we'll let the security do their thing. But we're now ready for play. 13-14 left in the first half. Tie game here on We Digital Productions, presenting the Ontario Football Conference Championship game on a beautiful night at St. Clair Sports Complex here at Acumen Stadium. Kicked off deep. Kenzie YouTube finds the ball, works his way up the seam, and gets hit hard, but not before he crosses the 25-yard line all the way to the 28-yard line. And that's Enzi Yu, who makes a nice return. They're clearly kicking away from 18. Dante Lewis, the special teams return man of the year. Ball is caught at around the 4-yard line, works his way up the right hash and cuts back across towards the left numbers, crosses back the field, and then does get popped there, but holds on to the ball and gets the Saints at the 29-yard line for their next possession, 1st and 10. We're just waiting for the ready for play whistle from the referee. And we have it now. 4 receivers to Brush's right. They sprint out to the left, get back in a balanced set. Brush drop back, looks for an open receiver, has Yu up the seam by himself, and now he's in a foot race. And can he outlast the guy? And it looks like he can. And you have Enzi Yu, who finds his way into the end zone for a big touchdown. And the crowd is going crazy here. Finally, an explosive play that I know Coach LaChance was talking about. First real straight drop back vertical pass from Andrew Brush, and he finds Enzi Yu, who ran right up that seam, and he was untouched. No halfback got his hand on him, and the ball was a little underthrown, but he came back, caught the ball, and then outraced the man, got to the end zone. Now, I will be a little critical. Enzi, go into the end zone before you start doing any kind of dance. Cross that goal line. It was a touchdown. It was awfully close. Don't ever let another player come back and try to knock it out. We'll probably see it on the replay. But we're getting the ball into play for the ensuing kickoff as we get a monstrous 70-some-odd yard play from the Saints. Snap is good, hold is good, kick is good, and now we have a 14-0 lead. And here's the replay, just a slot seam on a rope, and he had to slow down for it, but Enzi Yu makes a nice angle, and he has to just high step, kick out of it. At this point in time, young man, I just want to see you run all the way across. He crossed. Oh, that is so close, but don't ever do that. Get into the end zone. There's no need. Bruce Carter was in position to make that, but it was indeed a touchdown. As you see, with 12:42 left in this half, the Saints are kicking off after a long touchdown. A little high moonshot kick, going to be short on the guy, and then he's hit right away. And that's what you try to do. You try to negate any kind of return when you're into the wind. And that's Nick Brankovic making the tackle. Good on the return man, holding onto that ball, securing it. But you give up a little bit of the field position here. Now you have London set up at the 37-yard line. But that's a fire-up play for that kickoff team. They like to see the big hits here. Now let's see if the Saints defense can create a turnover on their own, or if London can keep establishing the ground game. If the Saints can force them into a passing situation, that will be a win for them. Here we go. First down and 10. Inside run, flags on the play. Looks like he picks up about 4 yards. It looked like we had some offside set up right off the get-go here. We'll get the play, the official call from Chris Patton, but it looked like the Saints were lined up offside.
Offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
That is
first down.
The case. And that's just a discipline thing. We have perfect markings on these turf fields nowadays. You can't be lined up offside there. And instead of it being a 2nd down and 6, maybe 7, it ends up being a 1st and 5. And you saw on that run play, he only picked up about 3.5 yards on that play. You have to make sure you're a full yard off the ball. Now it looks like they're all lined up properly. 3 receivers to the quarterback's left. Pinto takes the snap, inside run, gives it to his running back again, finds a big open seam, and that's number 3, who the ball is out, and it looks like the Saints have indeed recovered it, and that is indeed the indication. That's the turnover the Saints were looking for, and they did get it after a big run. The ball was now all the way to the midfield stripe. However, number 3, L.J. Dwyer, lost the handle, recovered by the Saints, and now the Saints, coming off that big explosive offensive play, have found a little bit of spark on defense, and you'll see on the contact, ball's away from his body. The next guy in is trying to rip it out, and that is indeed the case. That looked like it was 21 and 31 who was trying to rip it out, and that was Shane Winter and Nicholas Mailman, who forced that ball out, recovered by the Saints, and we do have an injured Beefeater on the field. It is indeed the running back, number 3, L.J. Dwyer. Now I can't tell. It's like he's favoring his right knee or right leg. And yeah, he's sort of walking gingerly on that. So now we have, in essence, a turnover on each team. The block punt in favor of the Beefeaters resulted in a score. And now you have a fumble from the Beefeaters. And now the Saints are set up at their own 52-yard line. Excellent field position, as you see Dwyer walking off the field. 3 receivers to Andrew Brush's left. Whistled in for play. Motion to the 3 receivers across to the wide side of the field. Brush takes the snap, looks to his right. Looks like he's going to air one out again, and he has his receiver, but the wind got a hold of it. You could see the wind just died down, and he had Dante Lewis. If that ball was just a little bit further out, I think Dante Lewis could have come back to that on the back shoulder throw. But that is a wide throw. Big, strong arm, but the wind did sail that one down, and you see it knife down as it falls harmlessly to the ground, bringing up a 2nd down and 10. Chartier comes off the field. Four receivers to Brush's left. 3 of them sprint across to his right. Fake the run, or excuse me, fake the hitch, and they inside run, and the ball comes out on the little delay draw, and the Saints return the favor. Fumble it right back, and that was number 6, Kyan Vokes. who fumbles the ball right back. So they do a little pump fake inside handoff, and the ball is just not tight to his body. It's a little low right on his right hip, and that was a solid hit by, it looks like, number 40, who forced that for the visitors, and that is Nick Samus who forced that. And now the Beefeaters have it at the Saints' 53-yard line. 3 receivers to the quarterback's right. Pinto hands the ball off. Nope, keeps it off his left, and he's running sideways as there's some great flow and pursuit. And it looks like it's going to be a run for no gain as he worked up the left. That was a good job of creating that spill by forcing him to go wider after the inside fake. And you'll see some really hard force from the outside coming in, and that's number 2, Billy Patterson Jr., who came up and forced him to at least keep stretching that out wider. 2nd down and 10. 10:40 and counting in this opening half. Saints 14, Beefeaters 7. Pinto, shotgun, fullback to his right. Hard count, almost draws the Saints offside. Takes a snap, steps back, has to scramble out to his right, and is going absolutely nowhere as the Saints set a hard edge for that. And that is number 52, Josh Allen, who makes the play. And he looks like about a 7-yard, 8-yard sack. And you'll see as they work up the sideline, they do a great job of keeping their outside leverage, staying nice and wide, forcing right that back to the inside. And now a punting situation for the Beefeaters. I suspect this one might be boomed pretty far back. It looks like there's only one return man back for the Saints. Good snap. Booming kick, turning over. Caught by Rutherford at around his 20-yard line, works left, then comes back right, works up that right hash, has a little bit of a seam as he crosses the 35-yard line and gets tackled right about the 35-yard line, and that gets them pretty good field position. So each turnover, each fumble really didn't do much for the opponent. Now you have on the replay here, nice high kick, but a great job by Rutherford into this win, settling underneath it, catching it in the air. He's at the 20, but he works up the field and picks up approximately 15 yards. That's a win all day long. If you can do that on any return, 15 yards is a clear win. That's a win for the return team. Back at it is Andrew Brush, 4 receivers to his left. Dante Lewis motions across. Inside run, Chartier works his way, presses the hole, finds a little seam up the right sideline, still going as he crosses the 50-yard line to about the 51-yard line. Good opening run on that play, getting them a first down as they approach midfield. That's what they did the entire first drive, and now they're going to maybe lean on that again. Chartier seems to be the workhorse so far right now, and after that fumble by Vokes, you might see Chartier get that a little bit more, but good blocking up front at the point of attack and a nice, just visionary run. Gradually worked, found the hole, turned it up the field, barely got touched until he was tackled for a 16-yard gain. Motion to a 2-by-2 set. Running back looks like he's emptying the backfield. Inside run to the fullback. And that's indeed the case. You have an inside run from number 12. And that is Javier Lewis, who goes inside. They sprint out the running back. A linebacker waggles with him. Inside opens up just a little bit. The offensive line takes over. You'll see on the replay. He is not touched until he crosses the 45-yard line of the opponent. And now they're set at the 40-yard line. 2 consecutive big chunk plays on the ground into the wind. If you're an offensive line coach, that's exactly what you want to see. 4 receivers to Brush's left. Javier moves back into the backfield. Dante Lewis goes to balance the formation. Oh, misexchanged with the quarterback and the running back, and now the ball is on the turf, and we're going to see who has it underneath that pile. And it is indeed the Beefeaters who have recovered it. After 2 great runs, another mistake costing the Saints. And you'll see here, it just mishandles the ball, and then it gets fumbled around. No one can jump on it. And at the bottom of that pile is a red jersey who comes away with it. These are mistakes that we didn't see last week on our broadcast in the semifinal. The Saints played a relatively clean game, and as a result, won pretty handily. Now you have 2 fumbles by the Saints and a block kick, and it's a one-score game with 7.5 minutes left in this opening half. As Pinto takes the shotgun snap, hands the ball off inside, and it looks like the running back's working up the left hash to pick up about 4 yards. And that is indeed L.J. Dwyer who carries the ball. And it's nice to see him back after what looked like a little bit of an ankle injury. He patiently works his way until he finds a seam, picks up positive yards for a 2nd down and 6. There's not really been a threat of the pass yet from the Beefeaters, but they have the wind and maybe, just maybe, a play action to come. Inside run again, and this time it's bottled up, and it picks up maybe a yard as it gets right to the 45 or maybe just over. And now that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 5, and you already see the London sideline sending out the punt team. Here's the replay. You'll see Pinto take the snap, and he immediately is going to hand the ball off on that inside running play. And there was good push inside by Fanier, number 94. And he set that up right away, and he held his ground as he penetrated into his gap. That was a good run fit by Octavian, and that negates any chance of getting the 1st down as it's 3rd down and 5, and they have to punt. Good snap. Kick is off, a booming kick, driving Rutherford all the way back, and he muffs the kick just a little bit as it's bouncing around. He does recover the kick. However, it does end up costing him at least 10, 12 yards of field position as he jumps back on it, and they're going to have to scrimmage now from around their 9-yard line. What a great punt. And I know Coach LaChance said this is the best punter in the league. Yeah, he is very good. Fortunately, he was able to jump right back on it. He did actually pick it up. I'd like to see him maybe jump on it. But nonetheless, he got the possession back. And now let's see if the Saints are going to lean heavily on their run game or if they're going to try to take another shot. There's just over 6 minutes left in this opening half of Ontario Football Conference play here at St. Clair College, Acumen Stadium. This time a little better in the run fit from the defense, negating any kind of big run. I think maybe they picked up 1.5 yards on that play. Oh, they're spotting him across the 10, closer to the 12-yard line. So maybe they got 3 yards on the play, bringing up 2nd down and 7. But that's significantly better than what the last couple runs have been. Outside of the fumbles that have stalled the Saints' drives, the run game has been very, very solid for the Saints, but they just haven't capitalized on it other than that opening drive. Brush motions his fullback back into the backfield, maybe for some protection, drops back, has an open receiver just sitting down in the seam. Looks like they're going to have enough for the 1st down, and that is just a simple throw and catch there. Get it to Dante Lewis in space. He catches it cleanly, gets the 1st down. If he has any room to work, he can likely make a guy miss because he's that special in the open field. Good play call, simple play call, good execution by Brush, 1st down at the 25-yard line. Balance set once again for Brush, hard count. Inside run, they have a left edge set here as a big run coming off the left side here as he spins across there. And that's number 24 for the Saints, and that's MJ Doyle Marshall, who earlier in the year was the workhorse, a powerful runner, great blocking off the edge, and again, chunk yards here. The run game has been the focus so far for the Saints. They've done a good job of moving the pile with their offensive line. And if they can finish this drive off like they started the drive, they'll be in good position, at least going into the half. Balance set here, 2-by-2. Again, run to Marshall Doyle, who finds a seam again, untouched for the first 7 yards. Across midfield, 12-yard gain, 1st down. So I shout out to Coach Rice, Coach Gannett, the offensive line, getting these guys moving the pile forward. You'll see here on the replay, just they're pushing the pile. He was not touched for at least 10 yards. Again, 2-by-2 set for Brush. Counter run and a tackle in the backfield. One too many cuts there in this case scenario. The tackle was made by number 40, Nick Samus, who ends up causing a tackle for a loss, which is going to be about 1.5 yards, and it's going to bring up 2nd and long. This time they just do not account for the linebacker who shot through the gap. Once he established that there was that counter run, he did not hesitate. He shot through that gap, made the tackle for a loss, bringing up that 2nd and long situation. And we're just under 3 minutes now in this opening half. 14-7 for the Saints. Motion to the wide side of the field. Brush drops back, sets his feet, immediately throws, finds his target, which is Jared Hayes-Williams, the all-star receiver, who makes one guy miss, works up that right sideline, works all the way to the 40-yard line, and gets a first down. This young man has had an outstanding season, rewarded by being the top receiver in the league. And my assessment should be an all-Canadian. Just does a nice job of sensing where the defense is. Strong throw into this wind. He spins out of it, works across the 50 to the 45-yard line, jumps back inside, still picks up about 3 or 4 more yards as he's fighting, gets it all the way to the 40-yard line. The 3-minute warning just blown in by Chris Patton. 1 timeout for the Saints, 2 timeouts for the Beefeaters. Inside run. Again, up the seam, untouched, momentum going forward, crossing the 30-yard line, and that is number 12, Javier Lewis, who finds a seam for 12 yards. Chunk yardage again on the run. Yes, they had that 1 tackle for a loss, but for the most part, they've been picking up big piles here. They empty the backfield, they keep the 1 fullback in play, and he doesn't get touched through the force unit. That is going to be very, very taxing on the defensive backfield to have to come up and not only defend the run, but then they're going to get caught on a play action potentially where they're going to be flat-footed and a guy's going to go up the seam. 2-by-2. Brush turns, hands the ball off again, works up the left sideline, but this time he got ankles being wrapped up there, and it looks like maybe a 1-yard gain, and that was number 24, MJ Doyle Marshall. So we're looking at 2nd down and about 9 yards here, and you'll see here on the replay, he was 1 ankle tackle away from maybe busting this just a little further. Looks like a little miscommunication. 2 players went out to the end man on the line of scrimmage, and no one squeezed inside, and that's the guy who made the tackle for the Beefeaters. 2nd and 9. Fake run inside. Brush looking, assessing. Looks like he has a mismatch with a big, taller receiver, but the wind just eats that ball up. And he was trying to hit the home run, and it looked like he was targeting number 81, Michael Ryan. And in this case scenario, into the wind, it just ate it up. That, where he set his feet, amounted to about a 35-yard throw, but with this wind was probably closer to a 50-yard throw, and the wind just starts eating it up, and it falls short of the goal line. And now the Saints are bringing out their field goal kicker, and they're going to try to set up what is a 37-yard field goal. And it's Connor Rafferty. Matt Gannett does the holding. Snap is good, and it is blocked on the kick, and now it's going to be able to be returned here as he gets bumbled around at around the 15-yard line, crosses to the 20-yard line. But that was indeed a block kick, and no points after some solid runs there. With 1:15, 2 timeouts left, the Saints appear to be the Beefs appear to have the final possession. Here's the kick. Just a low kick, but there's too much penetration. There's 2 guys there to get their hands on it, and indeed gets their hands on it. And that was eerily close to a no yards, because even though it was tipped, The ball breached the line of scrimmage, so maybe the Saints got away with a little one there on that. But nonetheless, the Beefeaters avoid giving up points just before the half. 1:15 left, 2 timeouts, and they're now set up at their own 20-yard line. Empty backfield, jet sweep action, inside run from the quarterback. He gets bottled up, and he picks up maybe 2 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd down and 8, 1:11 left. I don't think Coach LaChance will take a timeout yet. Should they stop them on this next one, I might suspect a timeout. And it doesn't look like the Beefeaters are going to try to take a timeout. And once again, the Beefeaters deferred the opening kickoff after they won, so they will have choice in the second half. As we get under 1 minute here, and it looks like they're going to run this play clock down to 1 second, and the head coach, Matt Schneider, is indeed calling a timeout from the sideline. So they're going to talk this over. They wanted to just use all the clock because they did not want to give up a short field should they have to punt. So now the Beefeaters are going to all congregate with the coach on the sideline and decide what kind of play call they're going to run here. Closely contested game right now. It's been back and forth. The Saints opened up with a opening drive march all the way down the field. The Beefeaters responded, and they started marching the ball. And then a special teams play cost the Saints their opening touchdown as the block punt resulted in a short field, and the Beefeaters made them pay on a 20-yard touchdown run. And then right immediately after that, the Saints hit a home run pass, 70-yard touchdown pass to recapture the lead. They're nursing that 7-point lead with 50 seconds left. 1 timeout left for each team here in the opening half. Shotgun snap, inside run again from the quarterback. He looks like he's working up the left sideline as he gets tripped up just short of the 30-yard line. So it looks like it's going to be a 3rd down. And I'm not sure if you're going to see, and you'll see here on the replay, he does work up the left. They just got to do a better job of containing that a little sooner because the pursuit from the inside is there. But he did pick up about, looks like a solid 7 or 8 yards, and now it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 1. So the clock is wound in. We got 38. Oh, now we do, looks like, have a timeout. And the Saints call their final timeout with 38 seconds left. And that might have been just a little bit of gamesmanship. The London Beefeaters lined up with their offense, and it looked like they were initially going to go for it. The Saints did call a timeout to possibly have to set their personnel up. Indeed, the Beefeaters then marched their punt unit out, forcing the Saints to use their final timeout of the opening half. And now the Saints have brought out their return team. And with this kicker, I believe this is the right call because he can actually boom one and get this ball inside the Saints 20 with the way this wind is working. And we have some confusion. We have a Saint running off late, and we have a Beefeater running on late. So now we have it finally blown in. Ready for play, good snap. Decent kick. It's going to bounce at the 40-yard line, handled at the 35 by Rutherford. Rutherford has a little bit of a seam, crosses to the 50-yard line before he's bottled in. And with 26 seconds left, the Saints are going to have the ball at their own 50-yard line. So even though they don't have their timeouts here, they're going to have a chance here. Decent kick, not as good as his last one, but it took a favorable bounce for Rutherford, and more importantly, it was away from Dante Lewis. And Rutherford does a good job of picking up, again, that 15 yards that you want to see on any return before he's bottled up for a tackle. I suspect the Beefeaters now really don't care if the Saints bust off a 12-yard run. They're just going to make sure they don't get leveraged over the top with a simple slot seam, catch and run type of thing. 3 receivers to brush his left. Straight dropbacks, looks left. And he's going to try to hit that over the top to Yuyut, and it just grazes off his arm. He was falling back as the wind was killing it. He almost came down with that, and it would have set them up just inside their the Beefeaters' 30-yard line. You'll see here on the replay. looks left, stays left, throws it to his primary route, which is the go. He comes back to it. He gets hands on it. That's good defense by the Beefeaters. Stride for stride with him, did not interfere or impede him. And now with 20 seconds left, the Beefeaters have a timeout remaining. We'll see if the Saints opt to run the ball. Quick little hitch to the outside, get the ball in Dante Lewis's hands. The return man so special when he gets it in, and it looks like he has just enough yards for the first down, and he got out of bounds, and that play took 6 seconds. So now the Saints are going to be set up at around the 48-yard line going in. And we'll see here on the replay. All right, we're back to live action because it's being blown in right away. 14 seconds left. 14-7 for the home team. Ontario Football Conference Final. Shotgun snap, looks left, stays left. Tries to go over the top, has his receiver, but he throws into double coverage, and that is the fullback. And that's going to bring up a second down. Fortunately, wasn't intercepted. And he was looking for Javier Lewis on the replay. You'll see here he stayed left. I'd like to see him maybe look that safety off a little bit because the safety was able to come over the top of that and have over coverage on it just in case. So you got to be cognizant of that. And that was 22 who made a play on the ball for the visitors, and he came down hobbling, and that's Jordan Wright, and he looks like he's limping off the field right now. 8 seconds left, second down and 10, 49-yard line of the Beefeaters. 4 receivers to brush his left. Drop back, looks for the ISO route on the right side by himself, has his guy, and it was a jump ball pass, but again, it looked like it was just caught up in the wind a little bit as Jared Hayes-Williams was unable to come down with that ball, and there is now 2 seconds left. And I'm pretty sure after they had a block punt earlier, they're not going to be punting here. They're going to leave the ball in the hands of the offense with 2 seconds left. Likely the last play of the first half, barring any kind of penalty. (14-7), 2 seconds left. Second 10. 4 receivers to brush his left. Shotgun snap. Looks left, looks back over the middle, finds Dante Lewis and drops it. Usually the sure-handed slot receiver comes up with that, and he had a little bit of room. That ends our first half coverage. 14-0. The Saints over the Beefeaters. OFC final coverage here on We Digital. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at the start of the second half.
For every big breath, for every little breath, and for every breath in between, Ontario Power Generation is committed to keeping Ontario's air clean. That's why the power we generate is 99% free of smog and carbon emissions. Because clean air matters to us all.
Child should learn how to swim for health, for safety, and for fun. That's why we've started Canada's Swim Team. Learn to swim at least 25 meters on your own, and you're on the team. Canada's Swim Team. It's that easy. Help make us the world's largest swim team by adding your name at getswimming.ca. Ask your parents first. Swimming, the only sport that can save your life.
buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you would.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
What can milk do? Well, it can turn you into a morning person. It can help fuel some pretty tough stuff. And it can definitely make cartoons funnier.
No, it can't.
Oh, well, it can have a little edge. But come on, even kiddies love it. It'll keep up with you at any age. It makes engines whir and creme brulee creme. It's one of the easiest labels you'll ever read. And anything that makes this happen is pretty special. In fact, what can't milk do?
On-Time Express has all of your delivery needs covered with a fleet of 50 vehicles, including cargo and sprinter vans, along with 24-foot straight trucks. It doesn't matter if the freight is big or small. On-Time Express can guarantee safe and prompt delivery service throughout Canada and the United States. Licensed to broker freight throughout North America, On-Time Express features same-day delivery service, along with a state-of-the-art dispatching system and live GPS tracking assistance. Mons is fully insured and Canadian bonded and has certifications with FAST, CTAC, PIP, and SmartWay. Mons On-Time Express is open 24 hours a day, 364 days a year. To get your delivery moving, contact Mons On-Time Express at www.monsontime.ca or call toll-free at 877-250-8282.
No. I never smoked any. Sure, I smoked a bit. But it was more your mom who was into it. Pot grows naturally, but it won't help you grow as a person.
Talking cannabis with your team can be learned. Download our free brochure.
You know what? Poison ivy grows naturally, but it's not good for you, is it?
Find the answers you need at drugfreekidscanada.org.
The first kiss. She's thinking about a million things. Like, should I remember with him? Do I close my eyes or open them? But for him, he's only thinking about one thing. Does she have peanut butter for lunch?
headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back to St. Clair College, Acumen Stadium, the site of the Ontario Football Conference here on We Digital. I'm Bedia Kwas, your game day announcer. 14-0 for the home team, St. Clair Saints. The first half was filled with a few turnovers, a couple special teams gaffes, a long explosive play, and some running. The passing game has not been very dominant from either team. However, the Beefeaters in the first half opted to defer, and it looks like they want the win to start the third quarter. They want the ball to start the third quarter, and that means they're also going to have the wind, as the Saints are going to make sure they get the wind in the the fourth quarter, as they return the ball here from the 17-yard line across the 20 to about the 26-yard line. First down and 10 for London Beefeaters. Here's the replay. The ball bounces around, and fortunately for the Saints, it stayed in bounds, but the return man, number 32, was able to pick that thing up and scamper forward for about 7 or 8 yards, and that was Keegan Cardona. With the win, we'll see if the Beefeaters can make a dent into this lead. It's only a one-score lead at 7 points. However, they do have this win, and they have to put some pressure on the home team if they're going to make it 3 championships in a row. You have number 12, the quarterback, leaks that ball out to his big slot tight end, who works his way up that right sideline before he gets tackled at the 38-yard line. Good opening play, as you see Anthony Pinto finding number 87 for that catch and run, Sam Ruby, as he just does a little flare out leak, a little delay release, and then he does make one guy miss before he's wrapped up and tackled at the 39-yard line. First and 10 for the Beefeaters from the right hash. Anthony Pinto sets up with 4 receivers to his left. L.J. Dwyer behind him. Drops back, quarterback draw, finds a little bit of seam, has some room. However, after his set at around 7, he picked up only about 3 yards on the play. He ran 10, but picked up 3, and that's going to bring a second down and about 7. And so far, that has been it. The run game has been probably the most efficient part of both teams' offenses so far. We'll see if one of these teams can mount any kind of passing attack. 4 receivers to his left. Pinto sprints out to his left, tries to turn his shoulders, looking for a receiver, lets one go, and it gets away from him as it falls aimlessly at around the 50-yard line of the Saints, and that's going to bring up a punting situation, 3rd down, and the opening drive for the Beefeaters stalls after 1 first down, and you'll see here on the replay, they flood the left-hand side. They are going to load up. He's under a little bit of pressure at the end to get rid of it, but he overshoots his receiver, number 15, as that sails over the head of Nigel Morris. Rutherford and Dante Lewis deep. A.J. Williamson set to punt. Good snap. Decent kick away from Dante Lewis. Rutherford catches it at his 28-yard line, crosses the 35 up to the 40-yard line. Good return. The Saints will now have their first possession into the wind, as the wind has indeed picked up. And you'll see here on the replay, he's clearly angling this away from Dante Lewis. Perfect strategy. Tristan Rutherford does handle it cleanly this time. And the containment is sort of there, but the rest of the pursuit isn't, which allows him to pick up about 14 yards on that return. And now the Saints are set up on their own left hash at the 40-yard line, 1st and 10. hand the ball off to Cartier, and again works up that right side there, finds his way across the 45-yard line to the 46-yard line, and he looks like he picks up about 6 yards, which was the sort of theme in the first half. The Saints were able to get a lot of chunk yardage there and putting themselves in second and manageable, but the mistakes and the stalls have really cost them a chance to extend their lead, and it is a one-score game here in the third quarter in the Ontario Football Conference, and we've seen this story play out a couple years in a row now. Second down and 4. 2 by 2. Counter play. Chartier works his way across, and he's trailed down from behind as the ball gets to about the 48.5-yard line. It's going to be third down and about a yard and change. Into the wind, I would suspect they're going to keep the offense on the field and try to wedge forward. You'll see on the replay, the offensive line gets through, but that's a trail outside half who comes around the horn as we get to a jumbo set. Third down and short, Andrew Brush pushes forward, easily gaining yards as he crosses midfield all the way to the 48-yard line. He needed a yard and a half. He picks up 13. First down and 10 at the 49-yard line going in. That is just a rugby scrum. And I know Chris Patton knows a little bit about rugby, and he could really see that pushing forward as that whole pile moved forward. Great surge by the O-line and that big quarterback. First and 10, 49-yard line going in, 2 by 2. Again, another run. Marshall Doyle gets, again, that's a little pursuit from the backside, and they're really now bringing that weak side backer off that edge, and that's something I know Coach LaChance and the rest of the coaches are going to have to look for. It's hard to account for a guy coming hard off that back end, but you'll see 34 come all the way from the outside of that and track that down, because at the point of attack there was some surge, so they got 3 yards there. So now we'll see what the counter move for Coach LaChance is, if they're going to start rolling up that weak half or that outside linebacker into the box like that. Second and 7, 46-yard line. Straight drop back. Looks right, throwing right. Has his one receiver by himself, and it is Jared Hayes-Williams who makes his man miss, dives to the end zone, touchdown. The all-star receiver jump balled his man and got that ball into the end zone, and that's the explosive plays Coach LaChance told me he needed from guys like that. This young man has been phenomenal all year long, adding to his totals, and now that extends the lead to 20-7. And the opening drive for the Saints, much like the opening drive of the game, results in a touchdown. Now they'll have the ensuing kickoff. You'll see here on the replay, this is an ISO route, one-on-one. He's saying, my guy can out-jump and outbeat your guy. And he did indeed do that as the defender comes up a little hobbly. And that's number 22 again, who earlier in the game, Jordan Wright, was nursing that sort of right leg as he defended a play in the first half. So we'll see if he's able to continue on moving forward. So we got Gannett on the hold. Rafferty on the kick. Snap is good. Hold is good. Kick is up and good. 21-7. Opening drive of the third quarter, extending the Saints' lead to 14 points and 9:57 left in this third quarter of the Ontario Football Conference, presented to you by We Digital Productions. And here's the replay on the extra point. A little bit of protection from inside out this time. We saw in the last field goal there was pressure from the inside. That pressure from the inside resulted in the blocked field goal attempt. This one here, much better protection, easy convert, and now they are indeed 14-point lead in 5 minutes or so into the third quarter. Rafferty set on their own right hash, kicking into the wind. Little short moonshot to one of the upbacks. Floating, hanging, catches it at the 32-yard line. And this time, rather than absorbing the big hit, number 7 opts to protect himself and the ball and goes down at the 33. And that's Ben Regier, who just does the smart thing. And the Saints go marching in and on to gold as the men's baseball team, The Saints 11-6 over Humber, gold medal game number 1. And then in the doozy, the final 10-4 to take that 2-game over them to go along with the women's softball 4-0 win over Durham. Congratulations to all of these tremendous student athletes on their wonderful accomplishments, much of which was brought to you by We Digital as we return to football championship play. Quarterback keeps it, sprints out to his left, looks to leak that ball out to Morris. Morris mishandles the ball, and it is indeed fumbled, and it looks like it was recovered by the Beefeaters. We'll see here on the replay. Just a little leak out, and he's going to dump the ball off to Morris in the left flat. He's bobbling it, but he catches it, tucks it away, and then it's mishandled, and now they're deciding it looks like it was an incomplete pass. That actually looks like, from our replay, the correct call. That does indeed look like that is the correct call. Good job on the officials coming back together, saying the young man never had the actual possession of it, so there was no turnover. Nonetheless, it was recovered, it looked like, by the Beefeaters, so that's now a break more so for the Saints, so it's 2nd down and 10. But from our great replay, it looked like that ball never got tucked away. It was off his hip, and that brings up a 2nd down and 10. 3 receivers to Pinto's left. Straight drop back, looks left, comes back right, has a guy over the seam, and that is indeed Morris. A nice bullet thrown, caught at the 50-yard line, and that is a 1st down conversion. Good throw, held the safety, and you'll see here Pinto's going to look left just briefly, hold that safety, and he knows he wants to come back to it. Good strong throw, good high point from Morris, and that's going to reset the downs for him as the ball is now at the 51-yard line of the Beefeaters. Once again, 3 receivers to Pinto's left. Inside run, and he gets turned around, and this looks like it's Tazzy Bell. And Tazzy Bell this time is tackled for a loss. That is his first time. We're talking about an all-star football player, a guy who's been multiple all-stars. Haven't seen him all game long, and now we see him on this little inside run. He looks like he's going to have to counter it back because he had pressure from Tynan. And in this case scenario, just was unable to outrace any of the pressure there, and that turns out to be about a 7-yard loss. And I'm not sure what the issue is with him. He limped off the field again, so he must have been nursing some sort of injury, but he is no longer in the game. They're back to LJ Dwyer, but now they are behind the sticks at 2nd down and 18. Quarterback looks left, comes back to the right. Ball is out as it was knocked out of his hands, but a receiver catches the ball, and now he gets a little bit of props. But however, that's going to bring up a 3rd down, as that pretty much lost 2 more yards on it, and it's going to bring down a 3rd down and a bunch, and that was pressure. Coach Morency dialed up a little bit of pressure, and Pinto just got bottled up and lost the handle of the ball, and now you can see a little bit of the momentum swaying, just a little bit, in favor of the Saints. 3rd down and 20, ball's at the 40-yard line. Williamson into kick. Rutherford and Dante Lewis deep. High booming kick in the direction of Rutherford. Backs up, sails over his head, and he goes out of bounds at around the 18-yard line. And that is indeed where they're going to scrimmage that ball. What a tremendous kick. That's a great kick. It's exactly what you want to have happen, away from your all-star. And he just booms this. No return whatsoever. And he flipped that field completely because he kicked that ball from his own 25-yard line. Really good job. This is where the Beefeaters defense really needs to step up right now and force the Saints to punt into the wind. They have to win this quarter because they have the wind in their favor, and it has picked up here at Acumen Stadium here in Windsor, Ontario, and the Saints are going into it. The Beefeaters have it in their favor right now, 6:50 and counting. Inside run, Marshall Doyle works his way across the 20 up to the 22-yard line for a 4-yard carry. Doyle Marshall on the run. That's going to bring up looks like a 2nd and 5. big play. I know it's early, but if they can get a stop, the Beefeaters need this stop here, force a punt from what will be kicking from around their own 10-yard line. That will shorten the field significantly for them. Hard count, inside run again. He bounces it out to the outside, and it looks like Doyle Marshall has a big seam up the left sideline as he crosses the 40 all the way out and pushed out of bounds at around the 52-yard line. And there goes the field position advantage as the Saints go right back to the well of the running game. And that has been the story so far. Can they capitalize over the course of 4 quarters? It looks like it early, but right now this running game is holding on, and it is driving the ball across midfield into the wind. They can chew up a big bunch of this clock if they can keep running the ball and get first downs here. First and 10, 51-yard line. Inside run to the fullback. Again, untouched. You have the big man rumbling as he barrels over people. Now, I'm wondering what they're going to call here because it looks like the ball came out, but he was down. It looks like he was down. That was indeed the case. Boy, you got to hold on to that ball. Now, the ground did cause the fumble. That was Jarrell Pappin, and you'll see here on the replay, untouched through the line of scrimmage. He's mounting through, and as he gets barreled from underneath, he has possession. It's when he hits the ground. Perfect view from our camera crew. Clearly down by contact, and now it is first and 10 at the 33-yard line for the home team, and they have a 21-7 lead in the Ontario Football Conference Final. Quarterback Power finds a seam, works his way up that right hash. Lot of room to run, and he's still up on his feet as he's finally dragged down at around the 10-yard line. What an advantage when you have a 220-pound quarterback who can run with that effectiveness, with the power, and you get the extra blocker, because now they have 2 blockers inside, Pappin and Doyle Marshall, who works their way through the hole. And again, the lead back does not get touched for 15 yards in that case. It is not quite and goal. It's first and 10 for the Saints, 4:20 and counting at the 11-yard line. Doyle Marshall again breaks a tackle in the backfield, crosses the 10-yard line, gets inside the 8-yard line all the way to the 7-yard line. 4-yard gain. And you can just tell the offensive line is gaining that sort of momentum. I'm telling you right now, they're probably in the ear of whoever wants to listen. Just run the ball. Run the ball again, run the ball again, run the ball again. If we need 4 times to get this in, these 2 plays plus 1 more from the 1-yard line, great. They do not want this ball in the air. We'll see what Coach LaChance comes up with. Balance set once again. Doyle Marshall in the backfield. Power once again. Andrew Brush finds his way up that right hash, works his way across the 5-yard line to the 4-yard line. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and 3. Decision time here. Up 14. You're in chip shot field goal range. And now the special teams coach is talking. They're going to decide, are they going to go for it? And it looks like the offense is staying on the field right now. The play has been blown in, so they better hustle up because there's only 15, 14 seconds left on the play clock. Here they go. They break out of the huddle. Shotgun, 2x2. Doyle Marshall in the backfield. Snap, power to the left. Andrew Brush finds his way, gets his way close to the 1-yard line, but we'll see if it's enough for a first down, because they can still get the first down. Not sure if he got enough, because it looks like the near judge on my sideline has him just outside the 1. It's at around the 1.5. They needed to get to the 1. Here's the replay. Power. Now, I would like to see Brush patiently let Doyle Marshall get in front of him on that lead play. He never let his lead blocker get there and is indeed short. And that is a big stop for the Beefeaters, who keep it a 2-score game here with 2:37. But now they are challenged with getting the ball outside of their own end zone here without giving up any points. That's the goal for them. They have to get out. They only have the wind for 2 minutes and 37 seconds, and it's about to blow in right now, so it's counting. It is 1st and 10 from their own 2. Power set from the Beefeaters. Inside run. Running back makes a cut, jumps out to the outside, finds his way across the 5-yard line to the 7-yard line. Good opening run. Picks up a solid 5 yards, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 5. That's a nice run. The Beefeaters collapse that right side of the offensive line there, and it allows the running back to find a little seam, makes one guy miss. Billy Patterson does come up and force from his secondary position, but that's always a win for the offense when your secondary has to come in and make a tackle. Under 2 minutes left. 2nd and 5 from their own 7. Pinto, shotgun, power set still. Inside run, gives it to his big back, and he crosses the 10-yard line across to about the 12-yard line, and that's going to be very, very close. My guess is it's going to be maybe fractionally short of the yards to gain. We were looking at 3rd down. Oh, I stand corrected. We have a signal from Chris Patton saying that it is indeed a 1st down. Great job by the offensive line surging forward and getting them out of their own end. Now it's going to be important for them to try to get some yards here, and here's the push. They get through a seam there. You see some of the big boys across the field, and he clearly got across the 10-yard line, got to the 12-yard line with that forward lean. Now we're just getting under a minute left in this 3rd quarter here. They have to do something with this win, because if they have to mount to come back into the win, the field position is going to be an issue for the Beefeaters. A little bit of a high snap, but they run inside with a quick little power hitter to number 3 once again. That is Dyer, who is in the game for the majority of the game. I believe Taz Bell has only touched the ball once, and it was for a 7-yard loss. They hit this with speed here, downhill running, and he's able to pick up about 7 yards here, a solid 6, making it 2nd down and 4. This is exactly what you want, but you're going to need this now into the wind, because they are likely going to have, if they convert this, one more play in this 3rd quarter with the wind. Tight ends across the board. Big set here for the visitors. And they get to that edge, and they find a little bit of a seam, but the Saints do a good job of at least squeezing that down, but not before the Beefeaters get a 1st down. So we're now going to have a 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. So they've got 2 1st downs so far, and they are going to have an untimed down now as the final play of the 3rd quarter. An Ontario Football Conference play here, presented by We Digital Productions. They remain in this heavy set. Big bodies across, one receiver, tailback behind Pinto. They give it to the running back. Nope, Pinto keeps it, pulls it back, and he just knifes forward for about a 2-yard gain. And that's going to be it for 3rd quarter play in the trilogy. This is the 3rd matchup in the conference final, 21-7 for the home St. Clair Saints, as we take a short break.
For every big breath, for every little breath, and for every breath in between, Ontario Power Generation is committed to keeping Ontario's air clean. That's why the power we generate is 99% free of smog and carbon emissions. Because clean air matters to us all.
Welcome back to Ontario Football Conference Championship play. 1st down, 2nd down, and 7 here for the visitors. Pinto sprints out to the right, finds his receiver, and unfortunately overshoots him. And now to open up this 3rd quarter, you're going to have the visitors having to punt into the wind. The Beefeaters deferred the opening kickoff. And in the 2nd half, they elected to take the ball. And, of course, the Saints opted to defend the end into the wind for the 3rd quarter. And now they are going to be the benefactors of having the wind in this 4th quarter. Now, I know the Beefeaters have a solid punter. A.J. Williamson has been outstanding all season long, and he can really drive this ball. But this is a strong enough win for it to be a factor. And any kind of catch in the air with a return is going to set up the Saints with good field position. High snap. Almost gets to the kicker, and the pressure causes a little bit of a shank, and this is the first time where he had to get this thing off quickly, and now the Saints look like they're going to be marched off all the way at the, they keep walking inside the 50, inside the 45, at the 41-yard line of the Beefeaters, and this was the concern. You'll see the pressure, and he knew right away he got this because he was angling it away from Rutherford, but with the pressure coming off his right, he had to reroute to his left, which was towards Dante Lewis. The errant kick because of the high snap and the pressure. Now the Saints, with a 14-point lead, a strong running game, have it 1st and 10 at the 41-yard line going in. 2-by-2 set. First back. Fullback runs hard through it and is carrying bodies as he crosses the 35-yard. Actually marked right at the 35-yard line, so that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 5. And you'll see here on the power play, it's Pappen. He just gets it inside, and that offensive line is pushing hard, and he breaks the first tackle, 2 hands on the ball, protects it, and he gets 5 yards on the carry. Two timeouts for both teams as we're under 14 minutes left in the final quarter. Doyle Marshall has a big seam on the left side, works his way up there, powers his way through some bodies as he runs over a couple potential tacklers, crossing the 20-yard line all the way down to the 17-yard line. That is power football in November. You'll see here this entire left side behind Corey Levesque, the All-Canadian. He's going to be an All-Canadian because he's the lineman of the year in the conference, and he absolutely set that hard edge, and you see Doyle Marshall run over people. Again, untouched for the first several yards of his carry, and now they're set up in prime real estate at the 17-yard line going in with a 14-point lead, 13 minutes and counting. Right back to the well again, and it's knifed under, and Marshall has it, and this time he knifes his way right between the hash marks for a touchdown, and this is now just becoming a bully ball, and it looks like the Saints are on the top end of that bully ball, and they're just running the ball at will. 27-7, just under 13 minutes now in the 4th quarter of Ontario Football Conference play. As you see, amping up the crowds. Good camera look right there. Happy personnel. But let's not forget what happened last year. I know Coach LaChance is not going to be happy right yet. He's going to remind these guys, we got to play 4 full quarters. Snap is good. Kick is good, even though it got a little, the kick is no good. No good. He waved it off. So we'll see here on the replay. Again, untouched. He goes right between the hash, right up the middle of the field, straight line right to the end zone. So the initial indication from Chris Patton is the kick was good. It looked wide from my angle. So I'm going to have to get clarification. The game board says 28, and our ticker says 28, but then I saw Chris Patton wave that off. So we're going to have to get official clarification. Every point matters here, so we need to make sure. We saw what happened last year. As it stands now, it's 28-0. Because the initial indication was it was good. But then I saw him do the safe sort of sign, and in this case scenario, that's not a good thing. The kick is off. A deep, booming kick, driving all the way into his own end zone. Now he's got to pick it up 5 yards deep into his end zone. He's bringing it out to about the 5-yard line where he's bottled up and tackled. And that is exactly what you don't want to have happen into this win here. You get tied up, and that is number 32 for the visitors. And that is Keegan Cardona, who took it from 5 yards deep in his own end zone, and only maybe got it to the 5-yard line. You'll see a great kick which drove it deep. He goes over the top, catches it in the air, but the bottom line is you need field position, and you are going into a pretty stiff wind as the coverage comes all the way down the field, and that's number 38, Carl Fabre, who made the initial contact and tackle. And now it's going to be 1st down and 10 into the wind with 12:50 and counting, down 21 points in the conference final. The 2-time defending champs. We'll see what they're made out of right now. Stretch run to the right. He keeps stretching it out until he finds an outside seam where he picks up a solid, looks like 5 yards on the carry. So they got out of the end zone just a little bit. They needed to get some breathing room, but now they're going to likely have to rely on some semblance of a passing game. And you'll see here on the replay, just a stretch zone play to the right. And Dyer keeps working, crosses, and then gets up to the 10-yard line. That was a nice, sure-handed tackle by number 17, Tajay Holmes. Second down and 5. 3 receivers to Pinto's left. Sprints out to his left, trying to flood the zone. Takes a shot over the top, has his receiver, but it's severely underthrown. And it falls incomplete as Tajay Holmes' helmet gets ripped off in the midst of the play. And now that means they're going to have to punt. And you'll see here on the replay, the coverage was both under and over. You have Tajay Holmes underneath, and you have a safety over the top of that. And that was Billy Patterson Jr. there as well. So it wasn't really going to be too much of anything. You have 2 defenders in the area, and the wind just killed that ball as well. So now you're going to have Williamson having to punt from his own end. And I'm not sure if they're going to give up the safety. The prudent choice is to give up the safety. But he is a strong-footed punter. If they get a clean snap, maybe he can get a booming one. But the return men, Rutherford and Lewis, are set up pretty much at midfield or inside the Beefeater end already. Snap, and the 2 points is indeed conceded. And I would suspect that Coach LaChance is going to force them to kick. Oh, no. They're going to take the ball at the... Surprising. Usually Coach LaChance makes the team kick, but he doesn't want to give them the chance for an onside thing. So he's going to just take the ball at the 35-yard line in scrimmage. So that 2-point safety concession extends the lead to 30-7. So the argument I will make is on that previous kickoff, if the return men would have just given up the single, they get the ball at the 35-yard line. And if they only picked up 5 yards, they're punting. They lost a point in that exchange. So here we go. The Saints are set up, 35-yard line, 23-point lead, fourth quarter, 11:40 left in the conference final. They've been running the ball at will. Can they mount one more drive and run the ball and put this thing on ice? 3 receivers to the quarterback's left. Dante Lewis motions across to make it a quad set to his left. Drops back to throw, ISO route. He's going for his top receiver, and his top receiver was Jared Hayes-Williams, and that ball got just out of his reach by a fingertip. Now, the wind may have factored into it. Looked like pretty solid coverage there. We'll see here on the replay. Was there a little bit of hand fighting? Possibly. But that looks like both guys were extending their hands and sort of holding out. I will say that's a good no call. That's a good play by both the offense and the defense, trying to go for the home run. I know Coach LaChance is trying to go after this. He does not want to just say, well, we're going to be passive to punt. We saw what happened last year. He took a shot to his all-star receiver, didn't come up with it. Wouldn't be surprised if they run it here because they've been picking up chunk yardage. 2nd and 10. 4 receivers to his right, 3 sprint across the formation. Quads left. Inside draw, and there he goes. Doyle Marshall with a big hole as he runs over bodies, and he picks up about 14 yards and gets that first down that's needed. And here's where it's that tick-tock time, and I'm not talking the application. I'm talking the game clock. It's going down. You'll see here they do a little fake to the quad set, and they do a little delay handoff. Once one linebacker gets out of his run fit, Doyle Marshall finds his way all the way up the field and picks up, looked like about 14 yards, and now is set at the 49-yard line with a 1st and 10 with a 23-point lead. First back, get to the outside, and this is Javier Lewis, who runs through a body and then gets all the way across midfield, gets across the 50-yard line, drives it all the way to about the 46-yard line. And this theme has been the story, and this is exactly what Coach LaChance wanted to do. You'll see here on the replay that entire right side was set, He did not get touched until he crossed the 50-yard line, and that is just too much. The offensive line is getting on these guys quickly, and the running backs are staying on their course because they're not being pushed off their track. And that is now a first down at the 45-yard line going in as we get under 10 minutes in this championship game. First back again. It's Javier Lewis again who fights through the initial contact of a tackle, and he picks up about 4 yards. And at this point in time, this is exactly what you want to do, chew up some of the clock. With a 23-point lead, you're looking at obviously 3 scores needed. The only thing that matters if you're the Saints is ball possession. Hold on to the ball. First downs wins you a championship. Both teams have 2 timeouts. Fourth quarter, under 9 minutes. Second down and 6. Quarterback play action inside, looks over the top, has a guy settled inside on that little B-seam, but he short hopped him. Little bit of pressure in his face, so it looks like Andrew Brush is going to come off the field as they're going to send the punt unit on. Now, the punt has been already blocked once. This is going to be critical. You have a good kicker. You have the wind. The only thing that hurts you right now is a block. Number 1, block, 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 and the coverage will follow. Snap is off, clean, no pressure. Good kick as it booms into the end zone. It bounces in the end zone, and it looks like it's going to go out of bounds, and it's going to get the Saints a single point, which is not bad if you're the Beefeaters. It's still a 3-point. At 24, it's still a 3-touchdown converted with 2 points game. So now they're going to have the ball at the 35. However, we have a flag. I did see 2 people run out late for the Beefeaters. If indeed they were late after the gates were closed, it's an illegal substitution, and that means the Saints are going to get a first down here. But we'll see what the call is. There is no flag on the play. And now it is first down, so the single point stands. I did see 2 people run out late. I did see the flag come out, but after further discussion, they may have said they were good. They were within the timing of the closing of the gates, if you will. And that simply means the gates are closed, meaning sideline players cannot come in and participate. But they said he's good. The Beefeaters opt to scrimmage on the left hash right now. 8:26 left in the Ontario Football Conference Championship game between the 2-time defending champ London Beefeaters, the undefeated Saints, number 2 ranked in the country. Saints are up 24 points, presented to you by We Digital. Quarterback sprints out, throws it off to his right. Now we have a sprint, a race to the sideline, and in this case it looked like it was Morris. Morris has been his favorite target today. He has caught a handful of balls already. He does come up limping a little bit. They're going to need a lot of this big chunk yardage and in a hurry as he motioned across from left to right and got that little bit of a flare out. And he did beat 1 defender to the outside and cross midfield and got to the 53-yard line of the Saints. First and 10, under 8 minutes remaining. Straight pass out to a quick hitch to his receiver, looking to make somebody miss, bouncing around. A lot of bouncing around to pick up about 4, maybe 5 yards. Nonetheless, positive play, but they have to have some sense of urgency. They may have to go into a tempo offense here as it's going to be 2nd down and 6. You'll see here on the replay, just a quick little hitch. Get it out to your guy. I'd like to see him maybe knife to the sideline right away and pick up and maybe get out of bounds and just settle yourself down instead of bouncing around. Every second's going to count at this point. 3 receivers to Pinto's left. Inside run, quarterback keeps it, does that little flare out to big number 87 again, who's tackled immediately this time. And he is going to be about 2.5 yards short. And that was number 21 for the Saints making the tackle. Shane Winter on number 87 for the Beefeaters, Sam Ruby. 3rd down and 3. And after what I witnessed last year, I'm not going to say this is the end of it for London. I saw what happened last year. I called the game. But they have to keep this drive alive to give their championship chances improved odds. They're slim as it is, but they got to get this. Looks left, throws right away, and it's batted down by number 8, the all-star linebacker, Nick Brankovic. And this young man, he knew he wasn't going to get there. He knew he was going to get it out fast. I saw him. I'm watching from my angle. He stopped right in his tracks. You'll see on the replay. Stop. Get my hand up. He just stopped in his tracks. He realized that the lineman got on him, knocked the ball down, and that there might just be it. And I say might, because last year it was a crazy finish. I suspect 2 or 3 first downs here from the Saints, grinding out the clock as we get under 6:20 here. Each team still has their 2 timeouts, a 24-point lead. I would suspect grind the clock, ground game. You've been pounding it all game long. There's Doyle Marshall again, finds a seam up the left edge, breaks through 1 tackle, crosses the 50-yard line. There's a scrum. They're pushing him all the way across the first down yard. And there you have it. That's the determination that I know Coach LaShawn said from his returning players. They want this more than ever. And there's a first down as they get across midfield, and they're going to have a 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. And the fans here are now sensing that something special has happened. This is now the St. Clair Saints. This organization has been turned over to the Saints, coming from the Fratman organization last year. They are officially the Saints this year, and they're looking to add to what already happened with the baseball teams. 1st and 10, 5:20 and counting, 24-point lead. First back, finds the seam. That's Pappin, who crosses the 45-yard line, gets to the 43-yard line, and picks up 5 yards. 2nd down and 5. And the impressive thing I see is on the sideline this week, I don't see the Saints all hopping around like they've already won this game. They seem focused right now. They seem disciplined, which means the message got across from the coaching staff. 4 quarters, men. 4 full quarters. 2nd and 5. Counterplay. Doyle Marshall finds the seam, gets a first down, has a big run as he crosses the 20-yard line. Excuse me, the 30-yard line, gets to the 25-yard line, and that's going to give them a 1st and 10. And now you are sensing it from the crowd. They're even more exuberant. They're jumping around. You'll see here on the replay. Little counter action. They bring the big lineman around. He's untouched all the way until he gets to the 30-yard line. Wow, this is a demonstration of sustaining blocks and creating space from an offensive line. Kudos, Coach Rice, Coach Gannett, the entire offensive line. This, you put it on your shoulders, and you have responded thus far. Under 4 minutes. 1st and 10. First back again. The Beefeaters are trying. They look like they got some run blitzes coming in. This time around, they do stifle the run a little bit. They only pick up about 3 yards here. I would not be surprised if this is 3-down territory for Coach LaChance. The special teams, they've had some blocks, they've had some other things. Just keep this offense on the field, grind out 2 more plays on the ground here. You have 2nd down and looks like 7. No, make it a full 8 to go here. We're just getting too close to the 3-minute warning as the referees are now just asking a player to leave the field. I don't know if it's a blood timeout, but they're asking the Saints to get back in their huddle because there might just be a blood timeout, which the team gets a couple minutes to wrap up and bandage up a player, especially if they don't want to substitute. They'll only be given a couple minutes, but they just got to cover up any kind of open wound here. Quick game recap. The Saints scored on their opening drive. The Beefeaters respond to tie it. The Saints throw a big bomb to NZU 14-7 at the half. Opening the 3rd quarter, the Beefeaters go 2 and out. The Saints go and march it down the field and score to extend to 21-7. And thus far, it has been Saints all the way in the 2nd half, extending the lead to 31 with another touchdown, a safety, and a single. And that's where we stand now with a 2nd down and 8, as it looks like the Beefeaters may have called a timeout to deal with this blood timeout, this injury. And the Teddy Morris Trophy, which is in the house, is going to be presented to the OFC champion, the Ontario Football Conference champion, shortly. And there is the perfect caption. Big, big, and big. That's it. That's all you got to see. Those guys up front, those are the ones that have done everything. They have done everything. You know, you look at these big bodies. They don't get the recognition they want. Jaden Caston, huge, big body. They have Marcus Stanley, big body. Simeon Keck, big body. They have Corey Levesque, big body. Mark Speller. These guys up front are the ones who have really put it on their shoulders and give themselves the opportunity to hopefully hoist the Teddy Morris Trophy as conference champions. Back to action. Brush looks to his right, throws over the top, has his receiver at the 5-yard line, tackled down at the 3-yard line, and that's Jared Hayes-Williams, who is now brought the first and goal at the 3-yard line. And now the sideline is getting just a little excited. Some of the coaches are clapping just enough as they get this ball and goal with under 3 minutes left. You'll see here on the replay, Andrew Brush looks, sets his feet, a strong throw. His receiver goes and gets it, protects the ball as he gets into the traffic zone. And now they have a first and goal at the 3-yard line. I would not be surprised if this is a quarterback run, a power, and then another power, and then another power if they need it. And they're going to give it to Doyle Marshall, who works his way up the left sideline, gets his way right to the end zone, and there is the signal. And that should just about do it. 37-7. For the number 2 ranked team in the country. 2:31 left in the game. The St. Clair Saints at 8-0 look to avenge losses the last 2 years and last year's heartbreaking fashion. And they are now up by 30. As you see the replay, just a hard power run, driving his feet, determined to get in the end zone. The extra point is down, and the kick is up, and that puts the sort of exclamation point on the conference championship at 38-7. This year, I may very well call it a little earlier. The sideline is exuberant. They're getting the fans into this. You can sense that everyone is just ready. I'll let you listen for a minute. All the kids are using their noisemakers. They're clapping it around here. And this is exactly what they've been trying to get to. It's been a couple years since that. Coach LaChance looks like he gave Coach Morency a hug already. So I think they're in that mode right now where they really do feel that the game is now set. And that said, we will officially give you word. It'll be posted on all the social media sites. But the winner of the Ontario Football Conference will host the national semifinal, which looks like it's going to likely be next Saturday night as the kickoff drives the return man deep into his own goal line, and he finds his way up the seam, and now he looks like he has a ton of room. And can he get caught? You have the kicker working his way to him, and he cuts across the formation, and now you have one last block in the back, it looks like, which is going to negate that long run, but he was tackled. And boy, a lot of running. That was an effort, an effort, an effort. And that was number 32 once again, returning it deep from his own negative 5-yard line. That was Keegan Cardona. They did have a push in the back at around the 18-yard line. So this is likely going to scrimmage from the 28-yard line. However, good effort. I like to see that. You're playing through 4 quarters. I knew the Beefeaters wouldn't quit, but the Saints have just been a little bit too much to handle. And, yeah, you see the indication. You have the penalty, so the ball's going to be now at the 30-yard line. Good kick. He almost outkicked his coverage. It's 5 yards deep. And now he works to his left and then gets up the hash, and then now he's going to cut back to his left. And now he has an open seam, which means the return men didn't maintain the coverage men didn't maintain their lane integrity. Good job by the kicker forcing him to cut this back, and now the heavy leg start. As you see the pass errantly go over the head of number 5 for London. Pinto tried to hit Nick McKenzie, and that falls out of his range. It's going to now be 2nd down and 10. And you know the defense does not want to give up another score. They were disappointed that they had a short field put against them after that blocked punt. And this has been a clean half for the Saints. And this is exactly what I would have expected after last week's clean game, how they were able to handle London. Clean game has shown the separation. The Saints are indeed the better team this year. Handoff, it's Taz Bell. It's only his 2nd carry. Maybe this is more of a sentimental carry, trying to get him the ball in his hands. I've been calling games for a number of years now. Feels like it's his 40th year in the league, and I know he's only allowed to play until he's 22. So we'll see if it is indeed his last one, but he hasn't been in the game much. It's got to be injury related, unless it was some sort of discipline thing, but no, I got no reports out of that. This is going to be 2nd down and 1 with 1:23 and counting. 3rd and 1, excuse me. They give it to Taz Bell. He's tackled in the backfield, and that's exactly the exclamation point. If the touchdown and the convert wasn't, it's the stop on 3rd and 1, and now you see the sideline. You see the people. And actually, some of the coaches still look very, very focused here. They look focused. Now, the players are doing a little bit of dancing. They sense it. We sense it here from our broadcast team. And we were happy to present to you the Ontario Football Conference Final here on We Digital Productions. I'm Badia Kawas, and on behalf of our crew, thank you for coming out. I hope you enjoy this. This is a great thing for the college, who have put a lot into putting this together. And now the Saints look like they're going to be the benefactors of a championship, as they appear to be set in what is going to be victory formation. And it looks like the London Beefeaters are just fine with that. And now they're going to wind it in on the 2nd down play here. And now the celebration starts. You see the coaches hugging each other. You see Coach LaChance getting it from his players. Everyone is now excited. Everyone now is feeling it. And now they can be crowned Ontario Football Conference champions for the 2022 season. Congratulations to the St. Clair Saints, who are now going to be officially the football champions in the Ontario Football Conference. And the Teddy Morris Trophy comes back to Windsor, Ontario. One last one. The refs are just asking the players from the sideline, wait until this hits zeros. And there's the zeros as Andrew Brush takes the final knee. And there's the orange flag indicating the game is over. And you have the champions of the Ontario Football Conference celebrating as they rush their teammates. A dejected London Beefeaters, but they held their crown proudly. I will say that. London came in here and made a game out of this very, very early and stayed in it, and they are the 2-time champs. But I know what they're feeling. There's a number of these players that are done. Their football career is done. But you see the jubilation. You see the happiness from the sideline, and now the trophy is being marched out, and there's a table being brought out. And you're going to have this set up right at the 50-yard line. And the Teddy Morris Trophy is going to be presented very shortly to the St. Clair Saints. Once again, congratulations and thank you for joining us for the production here on We Digital.